Welcome to the SciFi Pubcast. Come for a drink, but stay for the speculation. Star Wars Celebration Chicago wrapped up last week. It was out of this world. It was really awesome. If you haven't been to a Star Wars celebration, you really need to go to the one happening next year in Anaheim. This is our reaction show, and joining us are special guest customers Mike Clark and Kyle. So grab a case of beer because we talk about Star Wars Celebration a lot. The Star Wars community is back, baby. This is the SciFi Pubcast. Greetings. Welcome to the SciFi Pubcast, the podcast that tries to be a pub, and perhaps someday a pub that tries to be a podcast. And as always, we are looking for customers to come visit our bar. So if you're passionate about something and want to be on a podcast, let us know. This bar is all about community. And my name is Joel. I'm the bar owner of this fine establishment. And I'm looking around, and it's a busy bar today. We see some staff members. There's Carrie Simpson. Hi, Carrie.
Hey, what's going on?
I'm hungover badly. Shocker.
Shock.
Yeah, no, terrible. There's a story there, but I'll say the story in just a minute. And we also have Derek Beebe.
Hey, we've got some problems, Joel. We actually have two customers at the same time in the bar right now.
Oh, good.
Could you please let them know that if they both flush a toilet at the same time, the plumbing will explode? We're not set up to handle more than one person.
Right. Oh, God.
Oh.
And the show just goes downhill from there. Okay, this is just going to be another flush, right? So we have two customers. We have Mike Clark and we have Kyle. Both of these folks are long-time listeners of the SciFi Pubcast and plus other shows out there. We know each other from the Random Chatter Network community and the Star Wars community. Hi, Mike. Hi, Kyle.
How's it going?
Great. That's Mike and Kyle. How you doing, Kyle?
How you doing, everybody?
Good. So we're all recording this on a Skype call. I'm actually in an old farmhouse. Yeah. Oof. I'm actually in the middle of upstate New York, and so my voice is kind of odd because the Wi-Fi is not the greatest. And I'm at my aunt's place, and she lives right across the street from a craft beer place, a brewery. And so guess what I was doing last night? I was,
I can't even begin to guess.
I definitely abused myself. So if my voice sounds a bit funny, one is the tech stuff. The other thing is, I'm hungover. So there's that. That's my update. Let's see. Carrie, how's your day been? What's happening in your life?
Well, I was at a Aikido seminar this morning for a couple of hours, so I'm still coming off of. I'm not hungover, but post-class brain can sometimes feel like a hangover sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. I like how I hurt myself better, usually through alcohol. So, but to each your own. And Derek.
I'm good. I saw the Hellboy movie today, and I really liked it. I don't know what all those terrible reviews are about, because it's a very enjoyable movie, especially if you've read the comic books, because it takes so many things straight out of the comic books.
Interesting. Right. And talking about hell, how's our kitchen doing?
It's good. I am today offering a Star Wars convention themed special. I call it the Con Crud Special. It's 1/3 chicken soup, 1/3 Dayquil, and 1/3 crushed up vitamin C tablets, because I'm sure you all are sick as hell right now.
Yeah, that actually almost sounds edible. Who are you? What have you done with Derek?
It is edible. I can't speak to the taste, but what I do is I cook the soup so hot that it scalds your tongue as you drink it, so that you can't notice the taste. But it's good for you.
Right.
Well, it sounded good before that.
Well, I don't know how many of our episodes you guys have listened to, but he hasn't said anything about things growing out of the chicken soup, so that's a bit of a plus.
I'm with you, Carrie. This sounds pretty edible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think our next plan is to have a food truck, a Sci-Fi Pubcast food truck at Anaheim for a celebration next year. What do you guys think?
Please, God, no. They will send you both out of California.
Oh God, yeah.
They may even force me to move.
Lovely. Because we have two customers, we'll try not to talk over each other, but we got a lot to talk about because we're talking about Star Wars Celebration in Chicago and the whole business of Star Wars and fandom and all the good experiences we had and the not so good experiences we had. But before we begin, let's take some time to talk to Mike and Kyle and see what they're on about because I'm just very happy to have them on the show, and it's great. We like people to be on the show. We like people who've never been podcast before to be on the show because we're all about building community here at the Sci-Fi Pubcast. Mike, right, in like 18 words or less, what's your life story? Go.
Oh, geez, only 18 words.
I can need long words, so.
Wait, how many was that? That was like 10 right there.
I think it was about 5.
Oh, right.
Now I'm about 8. So, in short for now, because it'll come out as we're talking about Star Wars Celebration, obviously what brought me to a lot of this community was Star Wars and geekdom in general. So I have a lot of different passion and interest in those areas. But, life, I'm not too much different from most folks. So got a family, wife and kids, and go to work, deal with the churn, and let the escape with my trips down Star Wars and other sci-fi and nerdy comic booky type stuff.
Was that an Expanse reference, the churn?
No, because unlike most, I have not read all the novels. I've only actually seen the show. So I've not probably even that familiar with it. And if it did already come onto the show, well, that shows you how great my memory is these days. Hence, like I said, I have kids.
Hey, that's a great use of the churn as a reference. Congrats, Mike. You won our hearts over to you, okay?
I'm trying to get the brownie points.
Hey, Mike, so where are you calling in from? Like, where are you from?
I'm outside of Baltimore, Maryland, northeast, up in a little town called Havre de Grace. It's at the top of the Chesapeake.
Okay, excellent. So I'm usually living in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. Derek is in somewhere in Pennsylvania. We're still trying to figure out where. And Carrie is in Burbank in Los Angeles.
Actually, yeah, more like Los Angeles.
Yeah. I don't know. I see Burbank. It sounds more sexy. It's where the studios. Yeah, I don't know. Well, because if you're not from there, Burbank, people know it because of the Disney studio.
Actually, if you're not from there, most people don't know what Burbank is.
Yeah.
I don't know what Burbank is.
Oh, God.
Exactly.
All I know is that Carrie is in the best spot for the next Star Wars Celebration, but we'll get to that later.
We'll get that. Yeah, we have.
I've already said that I cannot fit all of you guys in my apartment, so
Damn.
we won't go there.
Oh, bring a tent. Great. And we have Kyle. Hi, Kyle.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man. Look, hey, listen, take a half hour, explain to the listening audience who's Kyle and why are you on the show right now?
Oh, I'm on the show right now because, because of Star Wars, and I know everyone on the show right now because of meeting one way or the other because of the Star Wars fandom and a great community it provides everybody. That's
fantastic. Yeah, I met you in Orlando, and did I meet you also in Anaheim or just Orlando?
I think we met in Orlando. I think a couple of years ago at the one down there.
Right. Yeah. Let me ask you this: was I drinking?
Yes, you were. You were.
Oh, okay.
That's how I knew it was you. So.
Oh, right. Okay.
Does that mean I met you too, Kyle, in Orlando?
I actually somehow did not meet you, Derek.
Okay, yeah, because I thought it was Kyle B that I met briefly in Orlando.
Yeah, you met him. I coincidentally did not meet him either. So we all went to like opposite events when they were. It was weird.
Yeah, that was the reason I didn't go to the convention this year, because I went to the one in Orlando in 2017. I thought, I'm going with friends. I'm always going to be with someone. But everybody went to different things, and I ended up being alone most of the time. I saw Joel more than anyone else, I think. Oh, and John Wim, because he was in the hotel next to me, and they would give me a ride to the convention center.
Great. We saw Wim during the convention. He's doing well. He's doing good, I think. He quite enjoyed the convention, and I talked to him several times last week in Chicago. So there's that. Kyle, where are you from?
Yeah, I'm talking to you guys tonight just outside of Atlanta, Georgia.
There we go. See, we're like international and all over the States and parts of Canada. That's excellent.
There you go.
It's a cornucopia of white people.
Hey, listen, man.
I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah, I don't care about gender or race or skin color. Everyone's invited to go be on this podcast. So, yeah, it's a stunning invitation to anyone who cares about anything to come on this show. So,
merrier.
Yeah.
As far as I know, everyone who drinks alcohol all gets drunk.
There we go. Yes. So before we move on to our discussion of celebrations, very briefly, first thing, our beer recommendation. The beer I was drinking last night at this brewery across from my aunt's place, my 72-year-old aunt, no less. The brewery is called Woodcock Brothers Brewery Company, and they're located in Wilson, New York. And I was drinking their Niagara Lager, which has 5% alcohol and an IBU rating of 18 out of 100. Highly recommend Woodcock Brothers. I've been drinking at their place since they opened several years ago. And yes, so if you find yourself near Wilson, New York, which is just north of Niagara Falls, New York, definitely check them out. They now have 2 locations. Other thing, big news, which I'm going to hype at the end of the show, but we've created a Discord server for the SciFi Pubcast, guys.
Well, you did.
Yeah, I did.
I don't think Eric had anything to do with it.
Yeah. So this is what happens when you drive for 6 hours. You get bored, then you drink a lot of beer. You create things. So basically, it's free to join. There's a stunning invite posted on our social media. If you have any problems with the invite, I'll send you another one. It's a way to fill in the gap between different communities. It's not meant to replace existing servers from other podcasts or other networks or other places like that, but it's an outreach of our bar, because we really try to be a community meeting place. And so I had this wonderful idea of creating a Discord server so we can do communications, lots of text messages. If you want to talk about anything, there's the main bar area, and just go for it. If not, there's stuff of podcasting, how to do podcasting. There's some restaurant stuff.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, God. Are you okay, Carrie? Do you want me to make a call? I can call 911. Where do you live again? No. So, there's that.
Not Burbank, it turns out.
Apparently not. But our topic
that was in it. That was me. That was somewhere in my area.
Exactly. Well, our topic for today is Star Wars Celebration Chicago, and I just got back from Star Wars Celebration. Go ahead.
I'm only hearing like bits and pieces of you guys now.
I can hear everything Joel is saying.
Okay, this is the joys of technology and Skype, yes. But we're just going to push on and see if the reception on Skype gets better or not. So I just got back from, we all just got back from Celebration, myself, Mike, and Kyle. And I'm still hungover, I think, or was that from last night? It's all confusing. But Star Wars Celebration. Now, I think many people know what Star Wars Celebration is, but there might be a few who do not know what Star Wars Celebration is all about. Guys, how would you describe Star Wars Celebration? Go for it. Let's say Mike. Mike, what's your take?
Well,
it's like Mecca for Star Wars fans, right?
Yeah, that's how I would describe it. It's, I don't know if you've been, I know some of you have been to different convention type settings before, whether it's Dragon Con or New York Comic Con or those sorts of things. I would say that it's in that same vein, except it's all Star Wars all the time. I've found it to be a very opening kind of community where you can do all kinds of different things. You can bring your family. You can learn, of course, all about Star Wars, but you can explore just meeting new people or just doing different events all tied to Star Wars. It can be fun little games, scavenger hunts, of course, merch up the wazoo, and it's a great little place to see everyone dressed in cosplay, all Star Wars, and sometimes some other things still trickle in there too. But if you're into Star Wars cosplay, you can't go wrong going there. So things of that nature. You know, what else did I miss, Kyle?
No, you pretty much covered it. The Star Wars Celebration's been going on a while. Usually they take place to commemorate a anniversary of a movie or to promote a new movie. So usually there's a lot of news, Star Wars specific, coming out of con as well.
Don't forget the panels.
Don't forget the bars and the after parties. So there's been the 13 celebrations. I think this is the 13th or 14th. The first one was in Denver, Colorado in 1999, celebrating the release of The Phantom Menace. So the last one was in 2017, was in Orlando. So Chicago was just last week. I've been to 8 of them. So 8 of the 13. So that's, I love Celebration. And I love it because it's just not a couple hundred people. It's thousands and thousands of Star Wars fans. I know the attendance level in Chicago, I'm guessing maybe 50,000. What do you guys think?
Sounds about right. Well, I mean, I wasn't there, but from the video, it sounds about right.
I'm sure we'll get into it, but I was very curious compared to Orlando, which was the one 2 years ago in the U.S. and the one 2 years before that in Anaheim. Those were when the celebration numbers really started ratcheting up for the U.S. Attendance, and I'm very curious to see how this one ended up panning out. If we could talk about how this one went compared to the other ones as we get into it.
Oh, of course we will. But I think the one in Anaheim was probably larger. It felt much larger in terms of attendance, but I don't have access to the numbers directly.
From what I heard, the arenas were much larger this time around than in Orlando. They were able to take in a lot more people for the big panels.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And thank God, because Orlando wasn't very good. I'm still pissed off because of it.
Chicago did a lot of really good things to make it seem like it wasn't as well crowded or attended as it actually was by putting the big celebration stage across the street. So it's not even in the convention center. You have to go across the street. And they separated the store out from the exhibit hall. So between the celebration stage, which was like 6,000 people or so, and people waiting in the store, and then all the other rooms, it really freed up the show floor space.
Yeah, and I think that's actually good in terms of organization. It just, to me, it felt a very different celebration, this one in Chicago, where everything was so spread out. So if you weren't staying at a hotel attached to the McCormick Center, you were probably downtown Chicago. And it felt that it was very diffused. It was so spread out, and it was a very different vibe because of that compared to previous celebrations. At least
because, like especially Anaheim, it's crazy how the hotels were just like right there, and you just walked like 20 yards, you're in the convention center. So it never really felt like the convention ended, but Chicago was definitely like, programming's over with. Everyone go out to your hotels, and there was only less than a handful of hotels actually connected to the McCormick place. So most people dispersed throughout the city, like myself.
Yeah, and I think that took away from a lot of things, because if you didn't know where the parties were afterwards, then you probably just did your own thing, or you met up with other people. Whereas Anaheim, especially, everyone was there for Star Wars, and it was like 24/7. And I just remember in Anaheim, you have all the food trucks out front, so people were like outside eating lunch all the time. They were going to the convention hall, or they hit the hotels. There's bars there, there's Starbucks there. I'm happy it's going to Anaheim next year for the next one. So,
how did you guys feel about the lottery system for the panels?
I thought it was pretty great, because one of the issues with Orlando for a lot of people, and I think this is rightfully why a lot of people wrote into ReadPop, who's the ones that put on this, recently have been putting on the Star Wars celebrations, and a lot of people I know wrote in about suggestions of doing the lottery systems or some of the other reservation systems. I've heard from where we were, the people we were staying with, at our hotel, we heard comments about some negatives about it, mainly due to communication, people not aware of the system existing and that it was in place. So that was kind of some of the negatives, was the timing of communications. But in implementation, and I had some crazy issues with implementation because I had kids with me, so the family situation was a whole nother mess if you had kids under the badge requirement age. But that's a side note I'll talk about later. All in all, I thought the system worked pretty well, despite the headaches I went through personally dealing with it. And I think, from what I heard, most people were pretty satisfied with it that had to deal with it, as long as they knew about it.
How many of you got into major panels like Episode 9 or Mandalorian?
Well, I got into 3 out of the 4. Well, I'll clarify. I got into the Phantom Menace panel, the Galaxy's Edge panel, and the Episode 9 panel. The Episode 9 and Galaxy's Edge was actually at the arena. The Phantom Menace was in the overflow room, but from what I understood, that was very largely empty and could have been gone to anyway if I had made the effort. I just decided not to cross the street since it was the last day, and I was just like, I'll stay put. I did not get Mandalorian, actually. I did not hear back on it one way or the other. That was part of my technical issues.
Right. I got in the Episode 9 main room, and that was awesome. My favorite part of the entire celebration in Chicago was Stephen Colbert, because I've been a huge Colbert fan for years and years. And if I wasn't in the room, I would be pissed off, because I love Stephen Colbert that much. So that's the only one where I actually was in the room for. I got into the streaming rooms, or the overflow rooms, for the Mandalorian, as well as the Phantom Menace. So I was quite pleased with that. I'm happy that I got into the main event on the full first day of the convention.
Well, I'll talk about the stage that people could go to if they didn't get into the lottos in a sec, but I want to ask Kyle's opinion on this, because I know, Kyle, you had VIP for this experience, correct?
Yeah, yes, I did.
So for you on that one, given past celebrations, I think you've had it in the past a couple times, right?
This was my I was fortunate enough to be the Jedi Master past this convention, the one in Orlando. But I've attended. This was my 6th celebration, and I've attended 4 celebrations with I just had a regular pass like everyone else.
And what does the VIP pass give you?
Well, since we're talking about panels, basically it just gave me guaranteed access into the celebration stage. That's probably one of the biggest perks of that pass.
So were all of you there for Episode 9 then?
Yeah, we didn't have to enter a lottery system or anything.
Wow. That's cool.
I think all 3 of us were there for the Episode 9 panel.
Yeah, we weren't even sitting together, which was odd, but still, it was a great time.
You wouldn't want to sat with me anyway, Joel. I had my kids with me at that time.
Yeah, I remember I was drinking beer. They were serving beer at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and I just had to have a beer because this is perfect. I'm watching Episode 9. People, J.J. Abrams, Kathleen Kennedy. There's a new droid. It's being hosted by Stephen Colbert, and I'm drinking beer at 11 o'clock in the morning.
It's all your favorite things.
I will say the arena, even though it was separate, and we can talk about the pros and cons of that as well, but I thought their food and the availability of it was actually better than what I was finding in the regular convention center. So I loved going over there just to grab a quick bite while waiting for the next panel anyway, because they weren't clearing the room. So if you won a lotto in the morning and you were interested in the follow-on panel, you were in a better advantageous situation to hang around to be able to see the next one. But there usually was about an hour, I think, maybe an hour and a half between each event. So it's not like it was really advantageous for you to sit around unless you really wanted to do that next panel, because you were missing out on the rest of the convention. But if you were deciding to take a break for lunch, they had pretty decent food there compared wise, and no lines really.
I have a couple thoughts about the lottery system. Just if you guys don't mind.
Yeah,
No, go for it.
So, before I was fortunate enough to get the VIP pass, I waited in free overnight lines at the celebrations I went to. And I know everyone goes to Celebration for different reasons. Some people go for autographs, some people go for panels, some people just go to be around Star Wars fans, And I am definitely in the camp of I'm going for the big panels, That's one of the reasons I went for the VIP pass, because just it was that important to me to have that access, And I feel like there's some pros and cons to the lottery system. I feel like, let's say I wasn't fortunate enough to get my pass. I entered the lottery and I wasn't able to get into episode 9 panel. Like, honestly, I wouldn't even almost want to go to the convention because that would be how important that single event was to me. So, like, thankfully I didn't have to deal with that scenario, but I know a lot of people did. And I know it's not I know waiting overnight just wasn't, that's not a good system. It's not, and in this day and age, it's just not safe to have people doing that in the city and that like that. But, I know a lot of people were disappointed that they couldn't get into the rooms they wanted to get into. There were some people that won like every single lottery for the panels they wanted and the vendor exclusives. And then like there was numerous people that I heard they didn't win a single one of anything. And I wish there was almost a better solution than a lottery, just because I feel like if you make the effort to travel and you make the effort to wait in line, I feel like you should be able to do that thing you want to do at the top of your list. But I also understand why they did a lottery system, because in Orlando 2 years ago, people waited in the overnight line and didn't get into the Last Jedi panel, didn't get into the 40th anniversary panel. So if you are waiting overnight in these lines and you're not getting in because it's so disorganized, I completely understand why they went to the lottery system, because, at that point, if you're putting the effort in and not getting into the room, then you might as well just make it, by chance type of thing.
Yeah, I thought the lotteries worked well, but I'm hearing you, Kyle. I agree with you. I think if they would have released the results of the lottery, say, a week or 2 weeks before the show, that would be more helpful, especially if you're a person who really want to get to the panels and you come up with a big, giant 0, then you have time to cancel your trip.
Yeah,
or find other things. I think, having just listening to what you guys have said in the last month, I would think that if they had released the lottery results like a week ahead of time, it would have given people who didn't get anything opportunity to make other plans, find other things to do, stuff like that.
Well, there's definitely no question that they should have, when they first put the tickets on sale, and this was, I think, at least a year ago, if I remember correctly, they went on sale. They should have identified at that point in time that they were going to use these kind of systems. And really, I think they kind of thought about and came up with this in probably like the last 3 months running up to the event. So, certainly that would have been a nice thing, but then they did come up with that light system so you could easily sell tickets. So I agree with what Joel, what you were saying there too, and Carrie, in regards to if you gave people at least enough headway to know what the results were, then they could at least choose to find a means to get their tickets sold, and that way they're not totally disappointed. And much like Kyle was saying too, in the other example, because I know Joel, your brother, dealt with this too.
Oh right, yeah, of course.
Back in Orlando, it's like if you could be in line, and I felt the same way because I lined up in Orlando, really wanting to get into those panels and didn't make it into the live rooms. I did get into an overflow for at least the 40th anniversary, but that was very disappointing to me. And I found a lot of the issues with Orlando, a lot of my problems I had with that convention had to do a lot with the perception that I was having of what I was trying to expect to get out of it. Because like Kyle said, I've been to 6 of these. My first one was Celebration 4, and that convention was an entirely different experience versus going in, say, Anaheim or even Orlando or Chicago. Now, out of these recent 3, I've enjoyed Chicago the most, but the reason I think that is 2 reasons. One, with the lottery in place, I knew that I knew I really want to get into those panels, but I also knew if I didn't get into it, that's that. It wasn't like Kyle said, you had to wait and invest in standing in line, and then you didn't get in. And it's like, well, now you've spent all that time. But the other side was, I guess I changed the perspective of, given what the experiences I had in Anaheim and Anaheim and Orlando. When I went to Chicago, I said, okay, I knew how these other ones were because of the increased numbers of people. So I have to temper my expectations of what I'm going to get out of this based on that. So I basically, instead of thinking I was going to try to get to every single panel I wanted every single day, and, and the reservation systems or the lotto systems or all the other ways you had to navigate to try to get to certain things in the Chicago one, I picked one or two main things per day that I really wanted to try to do. And I pretty much, by doing that plan, I managed to get just about everything. Of course, some of it to chance with the lotto, but I felt my experience in general with this one was much more positive. Not quite as great as that first one in Celebration 4, but pretty close, given the nature of the way that the Star Wars fandom and these events have changed in the last, I guess it's been, 12 years since Celebration 4.
So what's different between Celebration 4, which was at the Los Angeles Convention Centers in downtown LA in 2007, and I was there too, Mike, versus, say, the last couple?
Well, so some of the biggest differences that I noticed, and I know I lamented this back at the Orlando and Anaheim ones especially. I mean, 5 and 6 were pretty comparable to 4, but not even the same level. 4 did have something similar to Chicago. All the hotels, actually, I believe all the hotels were far away. I don't remember if there was any directly attached or not. Maybe, Joel, you recall. But I know we had to deal with shuttles all the time to get to and from the convention. However, the shuttles were running very frequently, like all the time. We never waited more than 15 minutes for a shuttle. And the beauty of the convention itself is they had so many events going on there outside of the normal exhibit hall like hours, when they would normally have all the vendors there selling their stuff. They had things going on 24/7. The store was available 24/7. The art exhibit halls and some of the other things were open 24/7. They had the fan videos that were screening 24/7 that you could watch on a loop. They had evening activities and events, sort of like the galas and the big party bashes. They were going on at the convention center in the evenings at times. So there was just a lot to do. And on top of that, if you bought 4 or 5 day badge pass, I forget how many, I think it was 4 days. A lot of the panel events that were going on like, say, Thursday or Friday also occurred on the weekends. So you had a lot of duplicates. So if you missed it one day, you actually had a means to get to that. It wasn't the biggest panels, but some of the simpler things like the Star Wars in 30 Minutes show or the one-man Star Wars show, those were very nice, entertaining things, which they don't do anymore. And they were offered at many different times. I remember Seth MacFarlane was there promoting the new Blue Harvest Family Guy special at Celebration 4. And he had his panel, I think, I forget if it was more than once or there may have been 2 separate ones with Seth. But basically, I had no problem getting into either one of those at the time because they were on different days and they were basically the same event being redone. So those were some of the benefits that I saw from 4 versus the newer ones. And it just made it for a continuous experience. If you wanted to be there at 2 a.m. in the morning, besides drinking, you could be there doing stuff still at 2 a.m. in the morning. I mean, they were still running the show, having it open and having the shuttles running. So it was a very different experience from that perspective.
I'm sorry, you kind of lost me at the point where you said that it was the shuttles only took about 15 minutes in downtown LA.
At night.
At night. That makes a whole lot of difference. I avoid downtown LA like the plague most of the time. Now, fortunately, the everything is built up a lot in the last 12 years. So if they ever went back to LA for Celebration, I think it would be better. And definitely the public transportation's a lot better now, but yeah.
And to clarify, I only ever went on them in the morning hours before things opened or late in the evening, because obviously during the daytime I was there.
So much.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, let's see. Kyle.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing that happened at the Celebration in Chicago?
I mean, it has to be an episode 9 panel, right? I mean, seeing that trailer was just amazing. And, then, they show us the Death Star in the ocean or whatever. And, like, you think that's crazy enough, but then the Emperor's laughing, and then Ian McDiarmid comes out, and it's just like, oh my God, what is happening? It's just unbelievable.
And for like a because I saw the video later. I was streaming the panel, but I had to go to a meeting, so I saw it later. And for like a second, it looked like no one realized that was Ian on stage.
No, I remember. I feel like I saw him before, like 5 seconds before anyone else realized he was on stage. And because I just noticed him because I was, fortunately, I was so close to the stage. I'm like, hey, the Emperor's over there, guys! Like, because everyone was looking at the screen still, because there was the title reveal, and then just like it took people a minute to realize Ian was on stage.
I was so excited by that because the Emperor is my favorite character, and I never in a million years thought that he would ever be in the sequel trilogy. So that was the last thought in my mind to happen, and then to suddenly hear his laughter and just know all the implications that makes for the final movie. I mean, I was already excited for episode 9 to see how everything ends, but now that I know it's also about them going against some version of the Emperor, I am so jazzed for that movie now.
Oh, that's awesome. I had no idea who's your favorite character. That's amazing.
The Palpatine and Yoda are my 2 favorite characters because they're the ultimate good and the ultimate evil.
Very
and
cool.
I mean, come on, he single-handedly took over the entire galaxy. One man alone did everying. He's
something to aspire to, Derek.
Yeah, he's evil and horrible, but he's got game.
But I also like, as great as episode 9 panel was, the Mandalorian footage they showed was jaw-dropping. I cannot believe how good that show looks. I wish they would release the official videos of it for
We've all seen
people
grainy
to
bootlegs.
see. Yeah, but like, I would even like to watch it again, and I saw it because I'm like, it looks so good. Like, I can't believe we're getting, like, it looks movie quality. Like, this show looks absolutely phenomenal. I'm not even a big bounty hunter person, but it looks so good. I think it's really all surprise people.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
I'm a huge Werner Herzog fan. He's the German film director, and he plays the Imperial officer in that one clip. I can't wait. This is just awesome. All these really awesome actors that are just playing these niche roles in the Star Wars universe. It's like, yeah, I'm going to be signing up for Disney Plus in November, guaranteed.
I can't wait to download that app. That I take my money.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge Disney, kiddie Disney person in the first place. So, oh my God, this thing is going to be my nirvana. It's going to have everything that I want in the world on it.
And it's so, Disney doesn't exactly make it easy to acquire their movies. Like, it's always like $10 more than I feel like it should be. So like, I have no problem paying a monthly subscription if I get those movies,
Yeah, and I'm so excited
they take the movies out of circulation, they put them back in, and yeah,
it's a whole game. You don't like, oh, I want to watch this movie. Oh, it's in the vault. You're screwed. You can't do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're gonna put so much old content up as well. I'm so excited to get like 90s cartoon series from Disney that I used to watch, and all the old movies that I may or may not have never seen. There's going to be so much on there. It's going to be incredible.
A
lot to discover.
Yeah, definitely. The first day of the convention, they had a shareholders meeting where they announced the price point for Disney Plus, and the trailer came out on the same day. Disney stock jumped $13. That's huge. That's like a 10 or 50% jump in their share value, and it hasn't dropped since then.
I just think it's crazy that didn't they say the prices would be $5.99 a month?
$6.99, I think, US.
$6.99.
Yeah,
it's $5.83 if you buy the year-long subscription.
And I just think it's crazy because like every 2 or 3 months, Netflix tells me my plan has gone up $2 a month, and I'm like, why? Why am I like? It started off as like 12, now it's like 18, and it's just like, Disney's will give this to me for under $7 a month, and if I sign up for it a year at a time, it's gonna be like Derek said, 583. I'm this is gonna be great.
I mean, obviously that's going to go up after the first year, but
It might not. If they have enough of a draw and enough extra content and people are signing up, they might not need to.
And that's probably just an entry sale point. I'm sure it will creep up as time goes on.
Yeah, I mean they keep raising the rates at Disneyland and Disney World, and that hasn't driven anyone away. So,
well, this is true. Supply and demand, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, at least they're starting low, so.
Yeah.
Well, I still think with Disney Plus that this whole strategy, at least with just talking Star Wars content, you've got Mandalorian in November. Clone Wars is coming after that, but it's not yet revealed exactly when. My guess would be 3 months or so after November. Episode 9, they already said will be exclusively on this system, I believe, when it comes to general release after the theater. So I think they're gonna slow roll this with all the different genres of content, whether it be Marvel, Disney old Vault stuff, Star Wars. They're gonna do enough every few months so that way it gets people to want to sign up and then check out what else they get by being on the service. If you're only there for Star Wars, you might suddenly realize, hey, you know what? I didn't realize that Disney does this stuff. I actually like having this also. I'm going to keep this for a little bit and use it. And, if you hang on and you're not, if they can avoid people who just want to sign up for a trial or sign up for 1 month, binge everything and sign off, if they get people to want to hang around because it's got that low price point and they get all this stuff, why not?
Listen,
get the Cassian series.
Yeah. No one signs up for a month and quits, Mike. Stop talking about CBS All Access like that.
Very true. I still haven't even signed up yet.
You know what Disney should do? They should build like a Star Wars type theme park, in Disneyland or in Orlando. Oh wait.
Oh, that'll never get off the ground.
Yeah. Hey, how was that panel? Yeah. Kyle, you said you were in that panel? Or was it your
I
mic?
actually did not go to that one.
Okay.
I decided to do other things in that time period.
Yeah, I saw it off the main stage in the vendor hall, but it was hard to hear some of the stuff.
I was there in the live one. It was pretty interesting.
What do you make of this whole Coke sponsorship?
I liked the fact that. So at first I was worried that it was going to take you out of the whole experience because they're really trying to make this very immersive to Star Wars. They're not even selling any general Disney merch there. It's all Star Wars in universe merch. So I was a little concerned about that. But when I saw their designs and the ways they were changing the bottle structure to look like thermal detonator kind of shapes and such, I actually thought it's not too off-putting. Despite you can tell what it is from the color schemes. But they even did the names in Airbrush, and they did at least a different presentation for the containers and such. It looks sort of like it could be a product in Star Wars, so it's not too off-putting. I was just disappointed because I misheard they were giving us free T-shirts after the end, and I thought they were giving us free samples of the Coke product. I was really thirsty.
At least it wasn't free drinks, okay? Okay.
Well.
Yeah, I'm excited for that, and I just can't wait to go and try out some of the drinks at the bar there, the Black Spiral.
Oh, don't pictures of those look amazing when the articles came out a couple months ago? Like, I want to try every one of those.
Oh, I know, it's amazing. Apparently, they have this meat contraption where they're actually cooking meat in the center of the bar, and off of like rocket engines, basically. Oh, it's gonna be great! I can't wait.
I'm actually already planning to get. Since they described the blue and the green milk and what that's really going to be made out of, and if you didn't know, it's not actually going to be dairy milk because that just wouldn't work well probably in either California or Florida. But it's basically going to be like a kind of frozen kind of ice cream based sort of treat. And so I was thinking I'm going to take that and combine it with the alcoholic beverages that they're offering. I figure I'm going to make my own little like mixed cocktails because I think it could be very interesting.
Ooh, I like your style. Yeah, good. Yeah. Now. Kyle.
Yeah, just so not to compare just Celebration to like Celebration 3, 5, or 6, but like to compare it against Anaheim, Orlando, and Chicago. I feel like Chicago really knocked it out of the park as far as organization and keeping the lines moving.
I agree.
They did really good. The only negative thing I really have to say about the whole thing is Thursday the cash registers in the store did not work.
Yeah.
I heard about that.
Which is kind of like, seriously. So like it took me like, that took 4 hours for me to get through. Like, I shopped for 20 minutes and then waited in line for 3.5 hours, basically.
Oh my God.
And
I wonder how much of that was failure to test the systems before people got there, or just stress on unrealized stress on the systems.
I think it was
Like-
100% they did not test it.
Okay.
Because I was so relieved to actually get to my checkout register, with all my stuff. And they would scan, like, they had a little scanner, they'd scan a few shirts, and then they'd scan one item, and then the whole list would clear out, and they had to start over again.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. That sounds like a failure. Testing failure. Yeah. Because I just thinking, because we've never seen issues where Fandango has crashed when tickets for certain movies go on sale.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Endgame.
Endgame's been the worst.
Yeah.
And then the app was having problems Thursday as well. But then, like, take Thursday out of it, the panel reservations were working for me the whole convention, minus Thursday, but there wasn't programming anyway. The autograph tickets were linked to your badge through the app. That was amazing. I thought that was a really good technological feature that really helps you get through those autograph lines quickly. And I was actually able to visit the store multiple times just to pick up an item or two, and like everything was working great after that. So it seemed like they just turned the systems on at 11 a.m. Thursday, and they just had to process that and figure out what the bugs were or something.
Unfortunately, they always seem like they've had Celebration store glitches and issues at every celebration. I remember, at least from Anaheim on up, my wife usually always is the one that goes for all those different things, each one of the ones we've gone to, and every time there was some kind of I think in Anaheim it wasn't technical issues. It was actually just having the personnel organized and the staffing or something along those lines. But they always seem to have a checkout problem or a line issue, or sometimes it's a merchandising issue. It's always something that seems to go wrong the first day. But I will say we got in there on Saturday, I think, after hearing the horror stories on Thursday. We never used the app, the Lightspeed queuing or any of that. We tried, but much like Fandango and the Endgame fiasco, it was much like that. So we just went in there on Saturday, or rather my wife did, and got through apparently with like not even 30 minutes and got pretty much everything we were looking to get. Mostly we go after T-shirts. We're not pin collectors too much, but the one thing we could never find any day we checked in there was that Mandalorian badge art shirt. Apparently, I heard they said the Mando Mercs went in there and like cleaned them all out every day.
Oh wow,
yeah, that's fantastic.
So we never got that one, but we got everything else we were looking for. So we were
and,
happy with that.
I know the friends I was hanging out with was a couple. One of them would always be able to get the Lightspeed pass on the app, and the other one never was able to. So obviously still wasn't a perfect system, but thankfully they were able to. One of them was always able to make use of that feature and seemingly able to get into the store in and out,
Yeah, our app never worked too well, actually. I think I liked the concept of the reservation system for the panels as well, for the non-lotto panels, but their app was so buggy, at least for iOS users. I don't know if you were iOS or Android. For us, I kept having this problem where when I would scroll down my list, like the panels would disappear. So when you would go back up the list, they weren't there at all. So you had to do very creative scrolling and jumping back and forth between screens to even select stuff. I think they were updating it nightly. Like every night there was a new version, at least for iOS, that you could download. And that's one of those things where, again, much like we were talking about the cash registers or even the lotto system, I felt like this is something they should have had well developed and tested like a couple months in advance rather than like a couple days before this thing's supposed to start.
cart.
Now, on the topic of the store, so I was with my brother Sean on the first day. We got in the line for the store right away. We weren't VIPs this time. The only time we were VIPs was in Anaheim in 2015. I bailed out about 3 hours into the line. No, we got there early, so the store's line was going to be open at 1 o'clock. We got there about 10 o'clock in the morning. And I waited to about 2. And I said, this is enough. Sean stayed in the line. So he actually waited in line for about 8.5 hours. That's insane.
That is insane.
8.5 hours.
Yeah,
Wow.
so 2.5 hours
Said he
before.
wanted to buy so badly.
Oh, T-shirts, all that exclusive stuff, right? Okay. So luckily, I put my order in Sean, and I said to Sean, hey, if you get in the store, and if you don't bail, get me these 2 T-shirts. Right? But that's just insane. It's supposed to be Vendors Day. Go buy stuff. That was the Thursday's point of starting late. And I'm pulling out my hair if I had hair. Because, this is Disney. This is the United States of America. Guys, are you open for business or what? Come on, take my money.
As far as I can tell, I was lucky to even get my stuff on Thursday. And I can't believe it seemingly ran okay the rest of the days. So they really turned it around, it seemed like. I remember on Thursday night, I checked Facebook, and they made this huge, long apology about the store. And I'm like, wow, things must have been, people must have waited all day and not been able to get their stuff if they're posting about it,
Yeah.
Because they're apologizing and that. They never do stuff like that.
It was so frustrating because the line did not move. They were letting 25 people in at a time, and it took them but an hour to process 25 people. It was that utterly insane.
I think we've all learned a lesson. Don't go to a store on Thursday.
Yeah. And
A better question is, why don't they just put this stuff? Maybe one of you guys understands this. I don't quite understand the manufacturing process in this regard, but I don't understand why they don't just put this stuff up to order, per order manufacturing in advance. Like basically put everything up for pre-purchase for everybody who's got tickets and wants to order something. Let them order a month in advance the items they want, and then manufacture to order build a little extra buffer for the people that are coming there. But why not just do that if you know people want it, unless they're purposely trying to keep the volume down on purpose, and that's why they're doing it that way. I never understood why they didn't just take the orders in advance before you even get there.
Probably because
Too
they
easy.
just finished making them 5 days beforehand, I'm guessing. I just don't think, I just feel like they were running so close to these deadlines. Because even when you're able to, which I do like this, when you order your ticket, you're able to order some merchandise. A lot of times you're not able to see what that merchandise looks like. But even then, people were getting the stuff they ordered a year ago, a week ahead of time. So it was still even the stuff they ordered then, people still barely got before the convention.
Yeah, we dealt with that too. I remember when we ordered our stuff, we couldn't even see what the shirts looked like exactly.
What I am curious about is, I remember they were advertising on the merchandise pages that, you can, if you were attending a convention, you could place your order on the store through the app and then pick it up or have them ship it to you. And I am very convinced that didn't actually happen, or I bet I'd be surprised if that was even a thing, even though they advertised it.
Was that the Lightspeed Cube? Was it the same thing with the app for that?
No, you're supposed to be able to actually order your merchandise through the app and either pick it up or have them ship it to you. It was supposed to be different from the Lightspeed, and I never heard of anyone being able to use that.
Yeah, I guess they were still working the bugs out of that one, so it didn't go live, right?
Yeah, probably. But I found that interesting, that I don't think that ever materialized.
And
Now,
even
when you
though
guys talk
even though we're talking down on Reed Pop's some of these challenging implementations they did have, I will still say, and I think Kyle said it as well about Chicago, I still think compared to the issues I saw in both Anaheim when it came especially to line management and in Orlando, which had all kinds of issues everywhere, I really think that they did do a very good job overall with this celebration that they were in charge of managing. And that includes all the aspects, despite the bugs in the app and the problems with the store and the communication issues with the lotto and things of that nature. I do think that this was a much better effort made by them than I had seen in the past. I feel like they listened to a lot of people I know that wrote in, including myself back at Orlando's after that was over. I really feel like they listened to those people and they tried to do something better. And they also were very responsive when there were problems, like Kyle mentioned the Facebook message you saw about the store on Thursday. I feel like they were making like better efforts this time around than I had seen in the past. Not to say that we're perfect, but
I 100% agree with that because, this is obviously a very nerdy problem, and I have no reason to complain about anything because I was fortunate enough to have a VIP badge. But about 10 days before the convention started, they sent an email out, repop to the VIPs, and told us, hey guys, you're going to be in this section for the celebration stage. You have reserved seats, and this is where you guys will be. And everyone's like, oh, okay, that sounds fine. But then we're like, wait a minute, where's the stage at? And they weren't putting us in the front section by the stage. They're putting us in the middle of the arena. And, like, this isn't a basketball game, so those aren't great seats, you know? and I was just like, and I wasn't getting too riled up about it. But then, obviously, people are very upset because if you're at a convention, the whole point is to be as close as possible. If you spend the money at any convention for these VIP badges, because every convention has some form of, usually some higher tier or something, and usually you're paying for the access to get closer, you know, and so I just wrote them an email going, hey, where's the stage? Because I wasn't really too concerned yet, because I'm like, well, maybe the stage is right in front of our section and there's nothing to worry about, you know? So a few days go by, and they said, great news, for the episode 9 panel, you guys have reserved seating in the front. And I was like, well, wait a minute. Well, I was thrilled about that because that's what I cared about, you know? And, but then everyone was like, well, wait a minute. That means the seats we're in for the rest of the time are really bad. And I was just like, I don't know. I was just kind of out at that point because I had way too much anxiety about stuff as it was, you know?
Yeah, you don't want to bait and switch, though. I mean, I had the same thing happen to me at a music concert event where we were getting the meet and greet with the VIP and the best seats, and they put us in, like, row J. And I was just like, what the hell?
Right. And it was funny. Like, I was happy enough with the episode 9 compromise, you know? I'm like, okay, I'm going to be right there for that. I'll be good, you know? The rest, I don't care about the droid panel, you know? Who cares? I can be wherever for that. And but then some people, I believe according to the rumors, went above Reed Pop directly to Lucasfilm, and before you know it, for like 2 days later, they're just like, okay, you have reserved seating right in the front, and you just have to be there like 35 minutes beforehand. And then everyone was happy. And I just thought, I was like, thank goodness those people were vocal about it because I wasn't, you know? And after seeing where those seats were, I can't believe Reed Pop thought that was like, those weren't good seats, you know, not for the expectation of what you were buying. Because when we bought the tickets, it was just first come, first serve in the description. So you would just assume, well, I can just sit anywhere I want, so obviously I'll sit in the front, you know?
Hey, Kyle, for our customers' sake, how much did you pay for your VIP badge?
It was about, I'll just give the before tax price.
Sure.
I think the before tax price was $800 to $850.
Okay.
And I honestly feel like that was a great value.
What was the normal price?
250, 260, something like that.
I think it was $250 for 5 days.
Yeah.
Like it was like a $600 price difference, and like what we received in return, in my opinion, was quite frankly phenomenal for that price difference, because I didn't have to worry about lotteries, you know, and stuff like that. I had reserved seating for the celebration stage if I got there in enough time, because they weren't going to leave empty seats in the front, so you did have to get there before your panel in a reasonable amount of time. So, you know, for me it was worth it just because I'm a panel person. I didn't want to wait in overnight lines, even though those weren't a thing this year, and I think we can all agree that's a good change.
Yes, definitely.
Because I remember when I waited overnight in Anaheim, I'm like, I don't think I can ever do this again.
Yeah,
that was the reason I decided not to go to this one, because Orlando 2017 was my first and only convention. And, you know, I go there, I spend like $2,000 to go there, and I didn't get into a single panel. It's like, and then I find out that you can watch everything for free on YouTube. And it was just kind of like, you know, why did I come here and spend $2,000?
I don't blame you. Like, if my first convention was Celebration in Orlando, I probably would have been horrified. I want to talk about the autograph hall for a second.
Yeah, by all means.
So, just a little bit of good and bad. Just comparing it to the autograph hall in Orlando was pretty much a total nightmare. It couldn't have been run worse if they tried, and I'm not exaggerating. And it was even worse because the quality of guests in Orlando were absolutely phenomenal, and just everyone was into autograph hall and getting photo ops, and just the sea of humanity in that area was crazy. And even though I had a VIP badge, like, I couldn't use, like, you only get so many line skips, so I still had to wait in line for over half my autographs, because I got like over a dozen last time, you know. And like, I still waited like in the line 3 hours for Billy D. Williams. It was insane, you know. And Topps just got the photo license and the autographing license for Star Wars, and they never had run a convention before, and I think that was a big part of it. But I tell you what, they were going out on the podcasts before the convention, really reassuring people that it wasn't going to be a repeat or anything like that. I will be honest, I didn't believe them, but I think they really delivered. Yeah, I'm a part of an autograph group on Facebook. I've heard very little complaints about the autograph hall this time or the photo ops. Obviously, there was one or two cases where someone canceled, or they didn't show, the talent didn't show up on time, so they had to wait a while. But it was just like night and day on how much they learned from Orlando to Chicago. And they ran that autograph hall and the photo ops like beautifully this year, I feel like, and I'm glad that they didn't repeat Orlando.
Hey guys, I gotta run out, but you guys keep going, and I will talk to you guys next week, or whenever we continue this conversation.
Nice getting to chat with you, Carrie.
All right.
Yep.
See you, Carrie.
Bye, Carrie.
Bye, guys.
See, this is what it's great being a bar, because people can come and people can leave. It's amazing.
Now there's no security at the door.
Oh,
She's
God.
the security manager, though.
Hello. What can
Derek's
happen?
in charge of security now.
And I will say, Derek, I even though I know you brought up how you were kind of, you know, your situation from Orlando and that experience, and I think Kyle's right. If that was my first experience for Celebration, I probably wouldn't blame you. But I do think that you would have definitely enjoyed Chicago more from that perspective. But you brought up an interesting point that I wanted to talk on, and that was, you know, getting to watch the content from the Star Wars, what they call it, the Star Wars show stage, that they produce all this stuff and do live streaming on the internet for most things. They also have a stage present there at Celebration. They did this at Orlando as well. But the setup in Chicago was so much better than it was in Orlando, to the point that if you didn't get into a panel from the lotto, or let's say the app was busted, or in my case, without getting into the technicals because of all the family glitches and such, I never even heard one way or another about Mandalorian. I ended up watching Mandalorian as well as a couple of other things from that stage. And I was a little hesitant because that's how I had to watch The Last Jedi panel in Orlando, because that was, again, the disaster of Orlando. I couldn't get into anything. So I watched it there and I couldn't hear anything. The sound was terrible. The video was hard to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You were there too, in the same boat. So, but this one, they had, so first of all, in the exhibit hall, they have an eating area. Like, all the convention centers have eating areas usually tucked away in the corners, but this one was up on a second level in the center of the convention center. And so the way they had placed the Celebration, the Star Wars show stage for Celebration, was right around this whole like upper floor. It was like tucked around on the first floor, like kind of in a U shape around this. And so you could actually stand up on the flights of stairs and actually see the video screens and hear everything going on from that perspective. And the actual floor space, they had like kind of L shapes, if you will, of video screens on both sides, left and right. So where you could really be standing and facing in any which direction, see the video. And they had definitely, I heard they invested a lot of extra budget on the sound speakers because you could hear this thing pretty much anywhere. You didn't have to be right there at the stage. You could be at other parts of the exhibit hall and the booths, and you could still be hearing what was going on. So I will say that despite not getting into certain panels that were going on at different times, I felt standing there, if I really wanted to be a part of that experience with the crowd and the community watching it, even though if I wasn't there in person per se, I felt that was just as good as like the overflow rooms if you were willing to settle for those. The only downside was no seat, but I watched with a couple people that I knew from the Discord communities and such that were there for some of those different panels. I watched with them right there on the stage, and we still had a blast watching it. We thought it was a great experience, and I will commend the Lucasfilm for putting on a really great stage setup in that case. And I know they also provided the same quality for you at home, like because you watched from the internet. But I thought that's a great feature as well, which has been improved upon. So I look forward to seeing that again at Anaheim, hopefully ramped up.
Okay, Mike, that's a very good point, and you're bang on in my opinion. I do have a question. Since you watched the Mandalorian panel at that stage, right, in the middle of the vendor hall, right, did you see the extra clips?
So there's an interesting bit there. So I understand that those who watched on the internet did not see any of the clips that were shown.
Yeah, they cut out both times.
The mid panel or the ending two like pieces from the first episode, as well as the montage like trailer clip. Yeah. So there was like three pieces. So we actually were shown when they said the live circuit was going to go black for those at home. We actually saw the mid panel clip. The last clips with the episode and the montage, we also did not see. But the difference was that when it went black for the internet users, I think Derek, they basically said they were going to go black. I think Jon Favreau had said that they were going to turn off the live feed. Well, they hadn't turned off our feed yet at the stage, and then he says, "All right, now who wants to see some real footage?" and then they cut off the screen on us. They were like, so we knew what was happening at that point. That was the only content that they did not show to anybody except in. And I don't know, Joel, you were at the overflow room, right?
Yeah, and they show the clips in overflow. So in the streaming rooms, yeah, they did.
So I think that was actually an oversight or an accident on their part at the actual live stage. I think they were supposed to show those to us there live, like they did the first one, but they screwed something up with the whole internet feed and the blackout. But we did not see the last piece there for that. So I also watched it grainy, just like Derek did.
It was so funny. In the panel room itself, they on the first, I forget what I even saw at this point because they showed so many clips and cut away. but during the first time, I think it was the Mandalorian was like walking outside and going into a bar or something.
It was like snow.
Yeah. Everyone just started recording it because they didn't say not to. And as soon as the lights went down, like they were freaking out and like going nuts trying to get people not to record it. And I'm like, okay, you probably did a good job of this floor section not recording it, but good luck getting people in the second tier there to not record it, because I guarantee you didn't have that much presence up there to tell people not to.
Yeah, and they didn't say beforehand don't record it, right? Because
Right.
when the live feed came back on the internet, Favreau kind of said like, "Oh, I probably should have said don't record that."
Yeah. And the funny thing is with that whole restriction, if I had been there in the live room in the back, I've got like I forget if it's a 20x optical or what it is on my actual camera. So I love sitting in the back because if I want to zoom in and take pictures or even video, I can be all the way in the back and I can get zoomed right up there. Nobody ever bothers looking at the people all the way in the back. So
Right.
I could have easily done something if I was there if I had wanted to.
And I was like, well, that's great. You guys got us in the first 50 rows to stop recording, but I'm pretty sure the rest of the place has it.
Which is quite funny.
I will say though, Joel, that despite being there and missing that piece, I was probably more revved up anyway for the episode, being the fact that I was in the episode 9 panel live, so it didn't bother me too much that I missed those pieces. I know it's coming in November, so and I found the clips online like everyone did. So
yeah, that's good too. Yeah, I know that they were really tight with security in the streaming room about filming. So they had the security guards walking around with UV cameras and all that stuff going on. So I think a lot of the leaks happen in the main room. Because
maybe they were more prepared than I thought.
Yeah.
At least outside the main room.
Yeah, so there's that. So which is just, well, you need to cover all your bases, not just some of them. So yeah.
And before we leave the subject of the live stage, I just want to say that as someone who is at home watching it, I cannot say enough good things about the Star Wars show providing 8 hours of coverage every day and putting it all up on YouTube for free. I mean, I've actually at this point watched about 75% of all the convention coverage, and it's so amazing that I can see all this for free. I mean, I've gotten to see every single panel, and it's not just that. They were doing little 5-minute interviews one after another, and it wasn't dead air and commercials. They had countless interviews and segments and panels lined up, so there was always something entertaining going on. It was just an incredible achievement, and it's so cool to give that to everyone for free because apparently no other convention does that. So I love what the Star Wars show did. It was such a great thing for those of us who stayed at home, and that was part of the reason why I decided not to come to this one, because I knew, I can just stay at home for free and see absolutely everything.
You saw more than I did, then most likely. So, I mean, it's funny, too, when you talk about that. You had a different experience. I had a different experience. I'm sure, Kyle, because he's got the VIP, he had a different experience. I know Joel did. So it's interesting how everybody can have, like, a unique Star Wars experience, but can still, be participating in the group and in the community. And I think that's a great aspect of it. And for me, I mean, I had that experience too differently because I had myself as a fan, but I also brought my family this time, my kids too, which is a first for us bringing the little ones. And, so that's a whole different experience as well, just going and experience it from that perspective, from a different angle, if you will, as part of that fandom. But it's still a great enriching experience. And I'm glad that everybody got to feel and be a part of it. Although I don't have as much free time as you to see all of those hours of coverage.
Yeah.
But, I agree. The Star Wars show did a great job. Like I remember, like I came home Tuesday. I haven't watched all the days yet, but I watched Friday's live stream, and most of that stuff was new to me. Like I didn't see all those interviews they did on the stage or anything. So even for someone that had the access I had at the convention, that live stream still had amazing new content, and I think it's wonderful they do it. And I, as someone who's not going to Anaheim next year, I am looking forward to watching that live stream.
I mean, hell, you could take the day off of work and then just sit and if you have a thing to put it on your TV, you could just literally watch 8 hours of live Star Wars coverage, and it's like you're at the convention only with no friends.
Yeah, it's great, and I think I've done that for the when it was in London last time when they were doing Rogue One, and I was like, this is great, you know.
Yeah, I remember watching a ton of those panels too.
I did that as well for when they did it over in London. I think it was London for 16.
Yeah.
I watched it that way too.
I was actually in London drinking and actually socializing and seeing all that stuff live.
Love and enjoy.
But and also I think forget the streaming coverage, but if let's say someone didn't get into the episode 9 panel, right, and they're at the convention, if you wait at the Star Wars show set, those actors will come out that day, and you still get to see Daisy Ridley and John Boyega and J.J. Abrams and all these people that so many people look up to, and they're their role models and that. So, like, it still gave people the chance to see these people they admire, and they didn't have to depend on a lottery or something to do that.
Yeah, it was so cool that they
good
actually had the A-list talent come out for those little 5-minute interviews there.
Yeah, my friends didn't get into the 9 panel, but I told them, I'm like, hey, in Orlando, after every big panel, those people showed up on the stage. And they literally stood at the Star Wars show stage all day. And they were thrilled with how they spent their day, because even though it was a few hours after the panel, all those people came out and they had a great time.
I know with my personal experience, like, I'm more of a social person in the sense, like, I want to see the content. I also want to hang out with my friends and meet new people and other podcasters. And there were several major parties that happened in Chicago. I think there was 3 major parties over like 5 nights that I hurt myself badly at. So, well, first thing, the first night, so that before day 1, so when everyone's just getting into town, so on the Wednesday night at one of the bars in the downtown core, they had Force Channel 2 as an unofficial event. Basically, it was Star Wars karaoke. And I went there with my brother, and I met a bunch of people from the Random Chatter network folks, and we drank because we haven't seen each other in so long, like over a year. And of course, we finally got up on the stage, and there's some video footage on SciFi Pubcast Twitter accounts you should really check out. It's quite fun. So there's that, but you need to know about this stuff. I found out about this event off of Guy on the plane when I was flying down to Chicago. A guy by the name of Craig told me about this. So there's that. Of course, the big event was the night at Kenta Bite at the casino, the casino at the Museum of Science and Industry. Did you
go to that, Joe?
I did with my brother. Did you guys go?
I did not.
was there.
Yeah. Well, actually, Mike was there, and Mike, you're not hungover right now, and you like to talk. What was your views or your opinions of that event?
Well, I guess I have mixed views of it. I will say that the first thing, the only good thing, for instance, I got out of Orlando when we were there because of that whole fiasco with that mess, was really that interaction with all the people, getting to meet people in the community and getting to hang out with people after the events, like we did the galas and other events at after the convention itself, which I enjoyed. Those were my highlights from Orlando. It was not the convention. It was everything we did outside of the convention, including meeting you back then, Joel.
When I had hair, right?
What's that?
When I had hair?
I don't think it was that long ago.
Oh, right.
I don't think I had hair either.
So, but we thought we would do the same things again, do the 501st bash, and well, I think it became an all communities bash, but I guess it started with the 501st.
Yeah.
And we were also interested in, the podcast meetup and some of the others. I did find that social wise, we didn't have, apparently the messages weren't as well communicated, I guess, this time around as they were in Orlando, because we didn't even know about the meetup for the Saber Guild doing their thing at the Bean on Saturday night, or the karaoke event. We kind of got word of those third hand, but we didn't know about the 501st Bash early, and so we got tickets for that, and we joined you and your brother there. I will say that I liked the idea that I could keep getting as many drinks as I wanted. That was a nice feature. The drinks were not bad. They had a lot of nice variety, so that was a plus. The food was, I guess, okay, especially given that it was an all-you-can-eat kind of like buffet style setup. I did enjoy the casino environment. Went down, played a little bit of blackjack that night before the night was over, and the music. They had a lot of different bands playing, including, I think I remember DJ Elliott was there for a bit.
Yeah, he was.
And so that scene, I know we had a couple of other people from our Discord community that was there. They were really enjoying the music, especially when he was up there spinning. I enjoyed DJ Elliott as well. So it gave a mix of a lot of different things to do. But I really thought the best part about that bash was the setting in the museum itself. I mean, that was pretty impressive that they had gotten basically exclusive use of the museum, and you could actually go around and see parts of the museum while you were there. Not everything. You couldn't get to all things. So while the event's going on, you can see the museum. It's already right in line with Geekdom, as it's, Science and Technology and such. It works well. Good pairing. You have the drinks, you have the casino if you want to do the gambling type of stuff, and then of course the music, the dancing. The only downside, I guess, to this event, or the biggest downside, was it was very far removed, much like we talked earlier about the hotels all being kind of scattered and further away from the convention center. The event itself was a good bit away from anything else, including downtown hotels as well as the convention hotels. So you had to deal with, the public transportation and getting around for that. We had ended up taking a taxi, ended up being cheaper than an Uber. But the challenge was, of course, getting there and back. A little bit of a downside. I do know when they used to do these bashes, like even in Orlando, I believe the 501st bash there was at one of the adjoining hotels to the convention center, and everything was kind of localized to the center. I remember, I think in Anaheim, one of their bashes was actually being done in the convention center. I don't think that setting would have been as nice as the museum like they did here, so I'll give them props for that, because it was definitely a nice setting. But it is nice when they have all those events kind of very close to where you're already at, so you can kind of get around and jump around to different things. So that was probably the only real downside to it. Cost was, I think, pretty reasonable. Do you remember how much it was, Joel?
Yeah, it was $125 US per ticket. So it was pricey. I actually quite enjoyed it. I love seeing the cosplayers, and I love people who they dress up, right? I couldn't because, one, I didn't have the stuff, and two, I was at the convention all day, and I was in a hotel in the downtown core, and I wasn't going to go back to the hotel before I went to the bash. But some people they went to the nines to dress up, and some amazing cosplaying, and I love that. I thought the music was great. You have Will Wheaton's band played there. Was it the Crushers? Something like that. Great music. I really enjoyed it. But transportation, yeah, that's an issue. They sold about 3,000 tickets. And so try to get a taxi or an Uber to get back out. We left maybe a couple minutes after midnight because we didn't want to stay till like 1 o'clock where there's a mad rush for transport. It was an issue. So I'm glad I left when I did.
Also, placing it Thursday night right before the episode 9 panel was kind of nerve-wracking for me too.
Yeah. But
hey, on the bright side, there were no overnight lines, so people could do that event.
That's very true.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's yeah.
And that's another point about why a pro I'll say for like the lotto type of systems versus the overnight lines. Like one con people would say about losing the lines is people like the experience of lining up, maybe not overnighting it, but they like the experience of being in line with people and chatting with people, getting to meet people that way. And I actually agree. Anytime I did stay in lines through all these celebrations, I met lots of interesting people, some of which I'm still friends with today. And so that's a great experience. Same thing with like the movies environments where you're lining up early to go to the movies, and we've kind of lost that now with reserved seating and that sort of stuff. But what I will say is I do also value the optimized use of my time. And so if I could find 2 hours instead of standing in line, that I could find 2 hours that I could go hang out with like Joel at the bar, and go get a drink instead.
Yeah.
And then just show up, 10 minutes before my event starts. I was like, I think that's time well spent, as long as you make the efforts to still have the community gatherings where you can do that. And so I thought the 501st Bash, the podcast meetup, those were good events where you could still do that.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just, and to me, just in Orlando, when you waited in the line overnight and you didn't get in, like, it's just kind of like, well, if you aren't even organized enough to let the people in that waited overnight, then what are we doing? We need to do something else. This isn't working.
Yeah, it ruins your whole experience, especially if you're all about the panels, if that's your main thing. And that's how I kind of felt. Like, I've been kind of a panel guy myself, not enough to spend the extra $600. But
well, okay, come on, man. If you had less kids, it would be easy.
Well, that's been my challenge. So one of the things that I had mentioned when we went to Orlando, because we have me and my wife have triplets. They're 5 years old now. And we had known in Orlando we weren't going to take them because they were only 3 at the time. But I was there while I was dealing with the Orlando mess. I was thinking, well, this really isn't suitable at all for families. And one of the things I loved about when I first went to Celebration 4 and the subsequent ones is that it was a family environment. Everyone brought their kids were dressed up. They were doing all these great family activities and events. And I was like, eventually one day when I have kids, and I didn't realize how many I was going to have back then or how that was going to go, I was all excited to eventually bring my children. And so now that they were 5 and we were somewhat scared that they might not do another celebration for a while after this one, oh boy, was I wrong about that one. We wanted to make sure we made the effort to take the kids and to have that experience. So when it comes to like the VIP, if it was just me and I wasn't even going with my wife, sure, I'd throw down the 600. But I love spending this time with my wife when we used to go too to do this. So we're both fans, and I would hate to be there all the time, all day long at all these panels while she's off. She'd probably love it. She'd be off shopping and whatever, and like running the credit card at that store, and I wouldn't even know it and be like, whoop. But I like it that it's a family environment and that they do a lot, or they try to at least do a lot for families to try to do that. And I wouldn't mind encouraging ReedPop to do a little bit more when it comes to some special things for those traveling with families, or especially with younger kids. They did at least do one nice thing, and I don't know if they'll continue to do this, and that was if your child was under the age of 6, you did not have to pay for their entry. It did complicate things when it came to the app system and the lotto system, because those were all based on badges. So if your child that was free had no badge, then they also weren't counted when it came to seats or any of the other kind of situations. And so their solution to that, I guess, thinking everyone's a baby if they're in for free, is, lap seat them. It's like, all right, well, I can tell you right now, 3 5-year-olds don't go on 2 adult laps. So,
No, fair enough.
So those are the kind of things that I'd like to see them improve from the family angle. But I still felt it was a welcoming environment, both for single fans, for those as couples, or also as for those with families. And even they have speed dating. So if you're looking to find that significant other, they have those options there too. I don't know anybody who's had any success stories with those yet, but I'm sure they're out there.
Yeah,
I tried that in Orlando, and it was like sold out before I could even get into it.
You were blocked at the door, Derek?
Yeah, the whole speed dating thing. They did it. There wasn't a lot of times to go there. I think I did it at like Celebration 6 back in years ago, and it was an interesting experience.
The thing that I don't understand though is that, well, I mean, like, first of all, like, who knows where this person is going to be geographically? And second of all, like, did they separate it by age groups at all, or
no? And that's an issue once you have different ages.
Like was a 60-year-old man paired with like an 18-year-old woman, or
is that a problem? Oh yeah, right. Yeah. So we're gonna wrap this show up in a couple of minutes because apparently people have some HBO thing to watch. I don't know. But saying that, I just want to talk very briefly about the Podcasters Meetup. Because I had a great time at the Podcasters Meetup, but it happened at an adjacent hotel to the McCormick Center. And everyone who was staying at the hotel, who were all Star Wars people, crashed the bar. And then you had podcasters. So for every one podcaster, you probably had like 10 other people who were just drinking at the bar. And we slammed the place badly. So I thought it was a great event, but it could have been better if it was in a different venue where we could actually meet the other podcasters. Well, Mike, you were there. What did you think? Mike?
We lost Mike.
Oh God, it happens. Kyle, you were at the podcast. I didn't see you there, right?
Sorry, you lost me there for a second.
Oh,
No, I was there, but I was only there maybe less than half an hour just to say hi to one of the podcasts I knew were going to be there, and then I had to run and get dinner with my friends. So I'm not actually even sure I got to the bar area. It was more of just a lobby meetup.
Okay, fair enough. Mike, you were at the podcasters meetup. I was just asking your take on it.
Yeah, so I actually really enjoyed it because I got to see a lot of people I knew. I had met some new people, like I met Ryan and Daniel from the Forcecast earlier that day. So I got to see them again, and I got to meet a lot of old friends, some from the Random Chatter Network, or Jedi Journals and RetroZap and those groups. So I got to see a lot of old friends I haven't seen in a while, meet new friends, and enjoy the camaraderie of everybody there. And, I felt it was a really great experience. There were some people I could tell that were a little, I won't say uncomfortable, but maybe they felt like socially out of place. So I was trying to welcome in the people that were standing off to the side. I was like, come over here, join our group, come on, talk about Star Wars, talk about you, and feel comfortable with this group. It's like just try to encourage people who were trying to be there but weren't really sure how to socially kind of get that ball rolling. Just to try to make everyone feel part of this big family, because that's kind of how I look at it. Everyone's very all about Star Wars naturally, but it's just a very welcoming community I usually find, and I just think it's great to be a part of it and to celebrate that. So that was kind of one of the highlights, was the podcast meetup, because that's where I got to really interact with a lot of different people in one spot.
Yeah, I remember seeing people like Amy Ratcliffe, who's a precious woman, and she's just great. She was one of the hosts of the stage, one of the stages, and she's been around the community for years. And you've seen people like that. You know the names if you're into Star Wars podcasting, or the Star Wars people, and just going up there and have a conversation. And I love that. And people who are, like you said, Mike, maybe not the most socially comfortable people, but it's a comfortable environment. And I love that, and that's one of the reasons I'm in this community. So, any last words before we wrap the show up, guys?
Who's going to Anaheim?
Well, I am for sure, if I'm still have a job. But I'm planning on.
We're already scoping out prospecting on hotels and trying to figure out what date this thing might be at.
Oh yeah, no, it's the whole date thing, right? Give us a date, please. I need to book the time off of work and figure out my plans.
So I unfortunately have made a decision that I am going to take a break from these. Just, I've been to like 5 in a row in the U.S. and I just maybe want to do something else, And I feel like episode 9 was kind of a good place to maybe take a pause with Celebration specifically. That doesn't mean I'm not going to cry when I'm not in Anaheim, but I think. I'm going to be honest. The fact that it's next year, even if I wanted to go, pretty pricey proposition for considering the plans I have between now and then. So if I win the lottery, though, I'll be there, guys.
Yeah, no, it's hard because I know my brother is trying to save up money, and if you try to budget for a 2-year plan and suddenly it's every year, I can see why people are bailing out.
And it's just every other year, at least I kind of knew. But now, I don't know, they might just start doing these every year now. And I don't know, that's the speculation. But if they do, pick up the pace on these, I'm not going to feel quite as bad if I miss one or two. I might just wait for one to come closer to me versus, I got to fly to California and being on East Coast,
Right, fair enough. So.
But, no, it was a great show. And I wish I had. The only regret I have is I didn't get to spend more time with people I know there. But it was just such a breakneck schedule. Sometimes you just, unfortunately, sometimes you miss people, and if you can't, stay at the hotel bars long, and you have to get back to wherever you're staying or whatever because you have other obligations and that, and just you have other things to do. So it's hard to balance things sometimes because there's just so much going on.
Yeah,
I feel pressure too. If I had spent like you did on the VIP pass, I'd be thinking like I got to get my money's worth.
Oh, absolutely. You're trying to do anything and everything because you're like, well, this expires on Monday and it's not going to be worth anything.
No, well, yeah. Mike, last thoughts?
Well, I will say I am still kind of flabbergasted that Anaheim is happening. Well, I'm not. We all expected Anaheim to be the original location for this one, so I'm not surprised we're going back to Anaheim. I assume it's tied to Galaxy's Edge for some reason or another, but I'm still surprised they're doing it a year out. This is the first time in all the U.S. Well, all the celebrations really. The timing of any of the U.S. ones have always been 2 or 3 years. This is the first time there's been one a year after the previous, assuming it's happening around the springtime. I'm still surprised, but me and my wife are still set to want to go and explore, and we're hitting our 10-year anniversary. So we were talking about going to Italy or Alaska. We're doing that this fall. It was supposed to happen, and we said, oh, we'll put it off because of Star Wars Celebration this year. We'll wait till next year. But now we've got Star Wars coming back, and I'm like, are we going to squeeze in both? Dude, that's why we really want to know what the date's going to be for Anaheim. But we're still talking about wanting to go despite the panels might not be as big of a draw concern now because other than whatever Disney Plus stuff's coming out, chances are there won't be a lot of film announcements. There might be whatever they're planning to do next that they're working on this coming month. Maybe there'll be that, but it might be low key, so that could be less stressful. That might be nicer. I'm hoping we get Orlando did this many times. They would do a tie-in to Hollywood Studios over at Disney World, where they would do a special reserve night where people from the celebration could go there after hours and explore and enjoy that park. I'm kind of hoping they do something like that for Galaxy's Edge for the people going, so that way perhaps we can get into Galaxy's Edge without the huge rush and craziness that would normally be present once that thing opens for the next year or 2 years.
Wow. Yeah,
I just want to say one last thing about Celebration is that, the fan community's kind of been all over the place, at least on Twitter, and I know that's not the best place to judge things, but once you're at the convention and that, there's nothing but love for these movies and for everyone there, and I didn't see any ugliness or anything at the convention. Everyone was this one big happy place to be, and that was a great feeling to experience.
Yeah, it was.
I agree. I saw no negativity of any kind really there, other than some people a little bit frustrated about the lack of communications about how the system was working. But like I said, that issue aside, and even then they didn't gripe about it too much. They all kept saying how much of a great time they were still having despite some of those things. So I honestly got a much more positive vibe out of this celebration versus previous ones, and from the fandom as far as any of the toxicity that's out there on the social media verse. I felt like none of that touched us here. I felt like it was an overall great experience. My kids had a lot of fun. My wife, myself, we enjoyed it enough to where we're, ready to go again. Not sure if we're going to bring the kids to Anaheim. That one we got to figure out. But we're definitely all set to go again.
Okay. And Derek, what about you, man? Are you going to show up in Anaheim?
Probably not. But even being at home, I too felt this great wave of positivity from the whole thing, watching the coverage. I mean, obviously, Star Wars is my number one fandom. I will always love it no matter what. But the last year and a half, it has been, problematic in a lot of ways and places. But watching this convention coverage and, Episode 9 and The Mandalorian, and just watching all that coverage of the Star Wars show, it just really brought back old feelings of unabashed love for Star Wars. And it just kind of reminded me of the prequel era, which I know a lot of people hate on, but for me, it was just like, wow, this is all so great and cool, and they weren't afraid to be goofy about things. And it just really brought back that teenage joy of, just loving everything about Star Wars and being legitimately excited for everything that they have coming out. And yeah, it just made me love it. It made me fall in love with Star Wars all over again.
Wow. Guys, this has been a fantastic conversation. We need to do this again soon. Kyle, Mike, thank you so much for coming on our show. You guys are
Thank
awesome.
you for having me. I really
we love having
it.
guests on.
Yeah, so
And we didn't die from food poisoning. It's great.
exactly.
It takes a few hours.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, great. Guys, if people want to find you guys on social media, like, where can they find you? Like, Mike, do you have a Twitter account?
I do have a Twitter account, but I forget if I even follow anybody on there. I'm at Erasure7, ERASURE 7. But otherwise, you can find me on the SciFi Pubcast Discord community there, and I'm under the name Erasure.
Yeah, and Discord. It's new, it's bright, and we need people, so it's free. Yeah, let's just. It's not meant to duplicate other conversations. There's not going to be a Star Wars channel, but there's a main bar area. And you can have any conversation you want at the main bar. So,
it's always nice to know someone's actually listening to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Kyle, where can people find you?
Yeah, if they want to find me, I'm on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Fechin_Yoda. That's FECHIN. And I usually am tweeting something nerdy. So
That's excellent. The show SciFi Pubcast is on Twitter at this is original now at SciFi Pubcast. Our email is at management@scifipubcast.space. My Twitter address is at Joel_Welch. Carrie, God bless her, her Twitter address is at Carrie Blackfire42. And Derek, what's your Twitter address?
I am at Derek JBB.
Great. And if you enjoy the show, you enjoy this conversation, or you enjoy our philosophy about fandom and about science fiction, or about just interacting as human beings, please leave us a positive review on iTunes or any of the other services. It helps people find our show. So there's that. I'm going to try to drink less beer in the future and do more podcasting. That's something I'm working on. And I want to say to everyone who's listening right now, thank you, guys. It's closing time. Please make it home safe. We'll see you next time. Bye.
bye.
Bye, everybody.
Music provided courtesy of Logan Rathbone. Podcast logo by Drew M. Copyrighted Joe Welch. Listen responsibly, and we can't wait for your next visit to our fine establishment. Cheers.